And welcome to another live session with me. And today, apologies, I don't really sound like myself, and I might not be as enthusiastic as I normally am, because I've got hay fever every June or July, when all the grass pollen gets released. I get allergic to that, and that's why I sound like I have the cold. I don't have the cold. I'm totally fine. It's just I'm allergic to all of the grass pollen at the moment, so apologies for that. So what are we going to do today? So today's lesson is called like 7 steps to getting a higher band score. And these are the 7 things that I think that people should do if they are first starting out, so they've not done the test before and they're a bit lost, they don't know where to go or what to do, or if you have not got the score that you need, so you've done the test and it was a little bit lower than you expected. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you 7 steps that will allow you to create a study plan that will help you move towards getting the score that you need. And this really works. I've worked with a lot of students in my VIP course, and within my VIP course, I'm starting to provide people with this service. I'm not mentioning that because I'm trying to sell you anything or anything like that. I'm just telling you how important it is and how useful it is to create a study plan where you know exactly what you're doing each day of the week running up to your test, and you know exactly which resources to use, which resources not to use, which things to focus on and which things not to focus on, and how to plan it out and do everything properly. So that's what we're going to do. I've created a presentation for you and I'm going to show you that right now. Before we do, just let me check Facebook to make sure that we are live and everything is working okay. Hopefully it is. Facebook to make sure that we are live and it is. Okay, and at the end I will have a Q&A session for 10-15 minutes. You can ask me any questions you like, either about this lesson or anything related to IELTS. If you have any questions, please just wait until the end, because I can't answer questions and do the lesson at the same time, but I promise I will answer your questions if you stay to the end. And at the end I'm also going to show you some very special resources that you might want to use, both free and paid resources. Okay, so let me just start this up for you and then we can get going. Okay, so let me just check to see if that's working okay, and then we can get going, because sometimes there can be problems with the sound and everything. Okay. Yeah, cool. And hello to everybody who is saying hello. So Yuri, Mazir, Bay, Akawan, John, Rez Makala, Ellen, all of you, thank you very much for saying hello and saying nice things. Let me know where you're from. It's always nice to know, where you're watching from in the world, or if you just want to say hello, it's always nice to hear from people. Just pop it in the comments below. Always nice to see. Okay, so 7 steps to getting the IELTS score you need. All right, so what are we going to do today? We're going to look at why is it so difficult to prepare for IELTS. We're going to look at some of the difficulties that students face, and we're going to look at the 7 steps. We're also going to show you, our goal today is to show you how to do a complete study plan that's going to help you get the score that you need. And then at the end we'll have a Q&A if you have any questions at the end. Alright, so why is it so difficult to prepare for IELTS? Well, IELTS don't tell you where you went wrong. This is one of the big complaints that I hear, that someone got 6.5 maybe 3, 4, 5, 6 times in a row and they don't know why, because IELTS don't give you any feedback. But if they did give you feedback, the test would be too easy. If the test was too easy, then it wouldn't be accepted as widely as it is. The reason why IELTS is accepted in all the different universities and by all the training bodies and professional bodies is because it is quite a rigorous test. It is a difficult test, and it has to be that way or it just is not reliable. And this is just something that you're going to have to accept. But we will show you ways that you can get feedback on your writing or your speaking later on. And there's too many online resources. So another thing a lot of people say to me is, I see so many different websites, and many of these websites are giving different advice and saying different things. They're really overwhelmed by the amount of resources that are out there. So I'm going to show you later on which resources you can are the best ones, basically. And they also don't know who to trust. So some of these websites, some of these books are very, very trustworthy, and we'll be talking about which ones are and which ones aren't later, but some of them are just not. And we'll look at those you can trust and those you can't trust later. We'll give you kind of some warning signs for some of these websites and show you which ones are definitely 100% trustworthy. Not just mine, I'm going to show you other people's websites that are really great as well. And they also, students don't know what to focus on and what not to focus on. So even if you find, a really good teacher or a really good website or a really good book, those websites cover absolutely everything. Those books might cover absolutely everything. Whereas you might just need to focus on one small thing, or 2 or 3, 4, 5 small things. So we're going to show you how you can figure that out, on what are your weak areas, the areas that you really need to focus on. And knowing your weaknesses is key. It saves you so much time if you know exactly where you're going wrong. And B, it's going to lead to better scores, because turning your weaknesses into strengths is really the way to go. So first step, so we're going to get into the 7 steps here. So the first step is set realistic goals. And this is the only word that I've underlined in this whole presentation, is the word realistic. You're not going to jump from a band 5 to a band 7 in 2 weeks. I know that lots of websites and lots of people will tell you that, but they're more interested in your money than you actually getting to the score that you need. You are not going to jump 2 bands in 2 weeks or 3 bands in a month or something like that. It's pretty much impossible. Some people have done it, maybe, but they are unicorns. They are not. It is definitely not the rule. I would love to buy a Ferrari next week, but it's not going to happen. It might happen in a few years, but not next week. You can't set yourself goals. Like, you can't say, I want to buy a Ferrari and then I'm going to achieve that. You might be able to achieve that, but in a realistic time period. Everyone is completely different, but you should look at improving by half a band or 1 band at a time. This could take 1 month or 6 months, depending on your circumstances. So we're going to look at all of these different circumstances in this lesson, but you have to be realistic. A lot of people just start with the score that they need. So they just say, like, I'm a doctor and I need 7.5 overall, or I'm a nurse and I need 7 across the board. But they don't actually consider where they're at and how to get there. They only look at the goal. They don't look at the kind of the journey, the amount of work that it takes to actually get there. So when you're setting yourself goals, always be realistic. Think about where you are and how much work it is going to take and how much time you actually have. Because if you set unrealistic goals, then you're setting yourself up for failure. One of the main ways, maybe not the number 1, but definitely in the top 3, is just setting goals that are way too high for yourself. Because if you do that, you'll never ever get there. Like, a lot of people say, set yourself really high goals and that will make you work hard. It's more likely that you're actually just going to find it too difficult and you're going to give up. You're going to fail over and over again. So set yourself realistic goals is the first step. Step 2, decide how much time you have. So you might say that I need a band 7, but you need to figure out, and this is crucial for creating a study plan, how much time you have, not just in terms of weeks and months, but how much time you have each day to study and to study properly. So a typical student is going to have a very different study schedule to a nurse with 3 kids to look after. So if you are a 21-year-old student with no children, no commitments, your parents pay for everything, and you have like 16 hours a day of free time, your study schedule is going to look completely different to a nurse that is working 10, 12-hour shifts, and then when she comes home, she has to look after her kids or has family commitments, looking after elderly people in her family. These are going to be completely different. So you have to, as an individual, decide how much time you have each day to study. It's essential that you're honest with yourself. If you're not realistic, you will fail to keep up with your schedule and give up. So I've done this with students in the past, and they've said to me, okay, I have 4 hours a day to study. And they're not being honest with themselves. They're just trying to impress me and impress themselves. It would be better if they said, listen, I've got lots of things and I can only do 30 minutes a day. Or I can do 30 minutes a day Monday to Friday, and I can do 2 hours on a Saturday and 3 hours on a Sunday, or something like that. Be really, really honest with yourself. If you're not honest with the amount of time that you have to study, you're going to fail because you won't be able to keep up with your schedule. It's always best to be honest in this way. Think about how much free time you currently have, and then factor in other commitments such as work, family, friends, hobbies, holidays, sleep. Think realistically about how much time. So it's good to just sit down and just think about how much time you have on a daily basis. And the easiest way to devote time to study is to cut out your hobbies, cut out your leisure time. If you sat down and you figured out how much time you spend watching TV, or playing with your friends, or doing sport, or reading books, or most probably on Facebook or Instagram or whatever it is, and you cut that out, you'll be amazed at how much time you actually have to study. So step 3 is decide what you need to study. Alright, so you've set yourself a realistic goal. You know how much time you have. Now you need to figure out what are the exact things that you need to study. Because when people say study IELTS, what does that mean? Like which of the 4 things are you going to study? Are you going to study all of them, 2 of them, 3 of them? Within each of them, what things do you need to study? Do you need to improve your grammar, your vocabulary, your reading skills? What is it? It is essential that you only focus on the areas that need attention. Again, this will be different for every person. So I have lots of people in my VIP group that have previously got band 9 in reading, band 9 in listening, but they're getting 6.5 in writing every time. It would probably be a good idea for these people to focus on writing rather than reading and listening. That's just an extreme example, but it's an example that I see all the time. Slow and less effective way. So figure this out for yourself. Look at your previous scores and figure out your areas of weakness. Now, with everything, there is a slow way, which usually is free. But I always like to show people the free way, because I don't like anyone who can't afford these services or can't afford a teacher to show them how you can do it. So you can look at your previous scores. You can look at if it was writing, you can have a look at your writing and be honest with yourself. What are the areas that you need to work on? If it was speaking, you could record yourself doing a test at home and listen back to it and figure out what the problems are. Look at the band descriptors, the things that IELTS produces that tells you what a band 7 is or what a band 8 is. Have a look yourself. The fast and most effective way is find an IELTS expert to tell you what to work on. So this is obviously going to be more expensive, but it is far more effective. It is better to find someone who knows exactly what they're doing and to not have to spend money doing the test over and over and over again. An IELTS expert is normally much cheaper than failing the test 3 or 4 times. I'm not saying this because I want you to use my services. I'm telling you this because it is the best option for a lot of people who can pay for that. So you'll find a lot of IELTS experts in your local area, like IDP, British Council should be able to tell you the good classes there, and there's a lot of people online. Some of them are trustworthy, some of them are not. So they will be able to say to you, right, you don't need to work on this, you don't need to work on this, but this thing, maybe for example it is vocabulary, or maybe it is a 2 or 3 areas of grammar that you really need to work on, and that will enable you to focus on your weaknesses, turn them into strengths, and that's really how you can improve. Step 4, make a study plan. So this is not the study plan that you should be using, but this is just one that I stole from one of my VIP students. So he posted it in our VIP Facebook group. And this is what he was doing. So he was doing some listening, he was doing some reading, he was doing some grammar, and then he was focusing on my course. He was doing practice tests. So these were the areas of weakness for him. His areas weren't actually, listening and reading weren't his weak areas, but vocabulary and grammar were his weak areas. So that was one of the reasons why he was doing those things. So it's as easy as just sitting down with a calendar or with a blank piece of paper and working it out this way. And this guy, he knew that in week 4 that he could do 15 minutes in the morning at 7 a.m. and then he would go to work, and then when he came home he could read for an hour, do grammar for 30 minutes, and then do speaking for 20 minutes. And that was his day. In week 5 he had more time, so he did a little bit more. So he was really realistic about the amount of time that he had, and he scheduled it all out, and he basically just went through each thing, ticked it off, and his improvement has been amazing. Every time I speak to him on like a weekly basis, when we're doing speaking sessions, he just improves every time, and the main reason for it is he does consistent work and he plans everything out. So step 5, use reliable resources, reliable books, reliable websites, reliable courses. So fake exam questions can give you a false sense of what to expect and cause major confusion and worry. Only use reliable resources, and reliable resources most of them are free. So there's no excuse why you should be using a dodgy website or a fake website. As fake questions are normally somebody who knows nothing about what they're doing is producing them. So I get questions from students every single day saying, I don't understand this question, it's really confusing, I'm really worried if I get a question like this in the test. 99% of the time they're fake questions. So for practice tests, there are 4 reliable resources. There's Cambridge. Both those, there are books, so you can get their books your local bookstore. I've found those books in really remote places, in really small bookshops. It's amazing how many places they are. Or online. Cambridge do produce, their books are not online, but if you get Google Cambridge online IELTS practice tests, they do produce a number of them. IDP, I think their website is called IELTS Essentials. They produce free practice tests. British Council has free practice tests, and IELTS.org has free practice tests. Those should be enough for anybody. There are 11 Cambridge books, soon to be 12, and each of those websites has lots of free practice tests on them. If you're running out of practice tests, you're doing too many of them. All right, focus on something else. For books, only use books that have been published by a recognised publisher. So these include Cambridge University Press, obviously, OUP, Oxford University Press, Delta Publishing, Collins Publishing. If you see a book with, that has been produced or published, by a recognised publisher with a good reputation, it's probably a very, very good book. But just use your common sense. If you see a book that, is free on Amazon, or free, they're giving it away for free, or it's really, really cheap and it's being produced by some guy, it might be reliable, but it might not be. Why not go with Cambridge or Oxford University that obviously have a good reputation. You don't need to use like unreliable books. There's so many good books out there. Again, just use your common sense. So what about websites? Be very, very careful with websites. Some of them are very reliable, others are not. Like I don't have advertising on my site, and one of the main reasons I don't have advertising is I don't want anyone to ever accuse me of like creating articles just to get clicks so that I can make money from advertising. But a lot of these websites do that. They create stuff so people will click. If they click, then you can make money from advertising. That's why people produce unreliable or fake sites. Warning signs can include very little free content, fantastical claims about student results. So if somebody has no free content whatsoever, then they're probably hiding something. They don't want you to see the quality of what they produce. If they say, we guarantee that we will get you a band 9 in 2 weeks, I've seen that a few times, probably not a reliable site. If there's lots of grammar mistakes, lots of typos and things like that, that's a warning sign that it's not a reliable site. Immediately trying to sell you something. If you go to the website and they immediately start pitching you stuff, maybe not a good idea. Or if they're giving away other people's paid stuff for free. So I've seen a lot of websites that are taking, like for the Cambridge books, for example, and allowing people to download these for free. So those people are criminals. They're thieves. So if you want to trust a thief, what do you think is going to happen? Reliable sites. So I've got 3 reliable sites for you. IELTS Advantage, of course, it's my site. I'm going to say that, but I do pride myself on everything being reliable there. IELTS Simon is really, really good. He has daily updates. I think he produces stuff nearly every day, and it's really, really, really reliable. And also IELTS Liz, she has some great YouTube videos, and has a really good website also. There are so many other sites, but either I've looked at them and I don't think they're reliable, or I just haven't looked at them. I can't look at everything, but those are the 3 that I would trust. Step 6, be consistent. This is the most important step and the one that is the most difficult. Most people fail weeks and months before the test begins. So people don't fail on test day. People fail weeks, months before test day because they just don't do the work. If you don't do the work, you're not going to get the score that you need. It's as simple as that. It is better to do a little bit of work every day than to cram a week before the exam. So you wouldn't believe the number of emails I get on a daily basis saying, Chris, my exam is next week and I need a 7 and I got a 5 the time before. What can I do? Like, you can't do anything in a week. But if you do consistent work, even 30 minutes a day, 45 minutes a day, an hour a day, 30 minutes in the morning, 30 minutes in the evening, on the way to work, on the bus, whenever you can. If you do that every single day for weeks and months coming up to the exam, you are going to have a much better chance of getting the score you need than if you just stop and start and then do everything the week before the exam. If you fall back, don't give up. Catch up or adjust your goals or timetable. So if you create a study plan for yourself and a few days go past, there's 2 ways you can think about it. What a lot of people do is, I'm a failure, I can't do this, and they just give up. Well, if you do that, you're never going to get the score you need. Another thing to do is just, forgive yourself. Everyone is human. Catch up with the work you need, or adjust your timetable. And you could say to yourself, well, really, this is unrealistic. The amount of work that I have to do, I just can't do it. So what you do is you just adjust the date of your test and do less work, but keep doing it consistently. This is the hardest part. It is also the most important. Consistently doing the work is really, really important. I've known a lot of people who are great at planning out all their work, and they're great. They do beautiful spreadsheets and they show them to me and they're really proud and really enthusiastic, and then 3 weeks later they just stop working altogether. Step 7, this is really important. Be accountable and find study partners. Being accountable is really, really important, because if you tell people, like, I'm going to achieve this or I'm going to do that, you're far more likely to do it. And if you surround yourself with other people that are working really, really hard and are, really positive people, then you're going to get the score. You're more likely to get the score that you need. I've been in a number of Facebook groups where they're just full of negative people criticizing each other. Like, that is not a good place to be. Like, in my Facebook groups, if somebody is like that, if they're really negative, if they're criticizing people, I just give them their money back and kick them out. What we also do in our Facebook groups is we get people to, like, post their work, set their goals. It's really, really important that people do that. So it's much easier to do the work if you tell people about your goals and have other people to keep you company along the journey. You don't want to be doing this all by yourself. There are many Facebook groups that have IELTS in the title, but very few that actually help people get the score they need. So most Facebook groups are just full of spam, full of negative people, full of bad advice. They're not really good places to be. We have our VIP group, and we also have our challenge group for people on modest budgets. So we have a VIP course, which is very expensive, but it is, a VIP course, so it's worth the money. But we also have a Facebook group, our challenge group, which is just like $9 a month for people who can't afford the VIP group. Those are just options that I thought I'd mention, because I think it is very valuable to a lot of people and would be a good option for a lot of people. So let's summarize a better way to get the score you need. Set goals, decide how much time you have, find out what you need to study, make a study plan, find reliable resources, be consistent, and number 7, be accountable and surround yourself with other people. So what we want to do is we want to understand the test. We want to understand what the examiners want you to do, and we want to give the examiners what they want. So that's exactly where we want to go. Okay, so where can you find help? So all the help you need for free is on IELTSadvantage.com. You'll find everything you need there. You'll also obviously have to study yourself, but we do provide a huge amount of information there. So let me just show you. So if you just go to IELTSadvantage.com, and everything you need there, so you just click on any of these buttons, and below we have divided into categories, and if you are interested we have a free mini course, so you could click there for a free mini course. We also have the writing correction service if you want your writing checked. The thing is, I would encourage you, I think would be very useful, would be the Facebook group. We've had a lot of people leave the Facebook group recently because they got the scores that they needed, and there are a few places available. It's $9 a month. You can leave at any time. Just go to IELTSadvantage.com, click there. If you want to join, you can join. If you don't. That's absolutely fine. So let's have some questions. All right, so if you have any questions, we have... How long do we have? About 15 minutes, 15-20 minutes, something like that. So you can ask me on my phone. I'll check my phone and we can see if there are any questions so far. So if you asked any questions before, I won't see them, because basically Facebook just show me the latest question. So if you already asked a question, just ask it again, and I'll see. Milan, how can I improve grammar easily? There's no way to improve your grammar easily, but I'll show you the most effective way to improve your grammar. First of all, you need to establish what your weak areas of grammar are. So I deal with people who need a band 7 or above, and for most of them in that situation, their grammar is quite good, but they have like 2, 3, 4 really common mistakes. So what you need to do is either do it by yourself, look at your writing or listen to your speaking and pick out your most common problems, either problem areas. For example, like a lot of Russian speakers, for example, have big problems with articles. So what you would do in that situation is you would go and look at the rules of articles, because grammar is just rules basically. Really understand those rules. Then you would Google articles, grammar practice tests. There's thousands of free websites. Practice that. And get better using practice materials, and then apply it to your speaking or your writing. It's as simple as that. It's not easy, it takes work, but that is the most effective way. So any other questions? One thing that Facebook really needs to work on is showing the comments. It's really difficult to get the questions up, so just give me 1 minute and I will try and get them up. I'll try and answer as many as I can. Okay, so Mark, how can I work on planning my essay? Go to IELTSadvantage.com and use the search function, or just Google IELTS Advantage planning, and there's a whole article there for you. Harry, can you explain a bit more about the writing correction service? Because I just need to focus on writing. Yeah, if you go to IELTSadvantage.com and click on the writing correction service link, you will get all the information you need. But basically, you send us your writing, we correct it all and give you advice, give you like 4 or 5 pages of advice on how to improve it, basically. Chris, could you please explain what is included in the VIP group? Go in and look at the free stuff first. Go and have a look at the free course. There's a free mini course. Have a look at that, so you can get used to how I teach and decide whether you want to go forward with that. I don't want this to turn into like a sales thing, so I'm trying to go through, ignore a lot of the questions that are about my services. Mohammed, at what point of my preparation for writing task 2 should I get my essays checked? I would advise you to get them checked before you start preparing, because that is going to allow you to plan out your study more effectively, because you will know what to work on and what not to work on. And then I would get them checked sort of halfway through and then before your test, to make sure that you're ready for your test. Mian, I want to do IELTS general training. How can I start? Which module may I start? Don't really understand the question. Maybe you joined it. Go and watch the replay of this video, because I think that will help you out. Yuri, I have a big question. Actually, I'm living in Belfast, about 30 miles from here, so hello. And I noticed that I'm starting to use some slang words. Will it be an error to use those in the real test? Yes and no. Writing task 2 is that you're going to be writing like an academic essay. Writing task 1, general training, I think academic, I think you're a doctor. You're not going to be using slang words and idioms and things like that. But in the speaking test, if you use idiomatic language, like the real language that real people in Belfast use, that will actually help you. It will show that you are at an advanced level. But don't go in like cursing or anything like that. And don't go in like using slang in every single sentence. But if you're using it appropriately and accurately, that is an indication that you're a very high level speaker. So don't worry about it too much in the speaking test. Don't use it at all in the writing. Zokakawa, what is the best preparation for the test? Websites and books. I've just showed you. So watch the replay. Marty Coe, it's just money making. Marty Coe, I produce more free stuff than basically anybody else in the whole of the IELTS space. So if you think I'm just making money, then have a look at all the free stuff and the amount of times in this video that I've said, don't send me any money, use the free stuff. Samaya, in writing task 2, if we asked to write advantages and disadvantages, does it mean 2 separate paragraphs, one for advantages and one for disadvantages, or just one? Sorry, I lost my train of thought. One paragraph for advantages, one paragraph for disadvantages. That's absolutely fine. Marty Coe again. No matter how good you are in English, they will just give you a low score. They are just making money out of people. Marty, have a look at how many people do get the score that they need every single week in IELTS. If nobody got the score they needed, then it would be pretty obvious that that was the case. But look at driving tests. So where I live, only about 30% of people who do their driving test pass first time. So is that because it is a money-making operation and it's some sort of scam? Or is it because it's a difficult test? IELTS is a difficult test. A lot of people fail it because it's difficult. If it wasn't difficult, then it wouldn't be reliable. So Marty, thank you for your comments, but in my opinion, you're wrong. Irving, how can I improve my vocabulary? Go to IELTSadvantage.com. On the bottom of the homepage, there's a vocabulary ebook for free. So have a look at the ebook, and you'll be able to get this. Download that. So have a look there. Erica, hi Chris. What advice can you give me because I'm planning to take my IELTS for the first time? So watch this video again. I think a lot of people are joining the video sort of in the last 5 minutes and didn't see the full lesson. So Erica, have a look at that. That's exactly, it shows you 7 steps towards creating a study plan and everything you need. So have a look at that again. Anna, I have a fear to speak in front of the invigilator and have problems with graphs and summarizing. Help. Okay. Alright, so a fear of speaking in front of the invigilator. Realize that the examiner is just doing a job. The examiner is never going to laugh at you. The examiner doesn't care at all about you. Basically, it's like the person serving you in McDonald's. Do they care about you? All they want to do is just give you your food and take your money. Same as in the IELTS speaking test. The examiner is just doing their job. If you do really well, it doesn't matter to them. If you do terribly, it doesn't matter to them. They are just doing a job. So do not worry what they think, because they don't really worry what you think. Problems with graphs, summarizing. So what you need to do is you need to learn how to do task 1 academic, and you need to practice. It's just saying I'm really worried about it and I can't do it, that's not going to really help. Learning how to do it and practicing is going to help. So I'd suggest you do that. Rika, how would you recommend students to activate their vocabulary? Go to IELTSadvantage.com. On the homepage at the bottom, there's a free vocabulary ebook. So there's lots of stuff in there about that. Precious Sir, can you check some of our writing tasks? Yes, I can, but for a fee. There are like 250,000 people who like this page. If I gave away free writing corrections, I would basically just do that and nothing else. And I like, spending time with my family every now and again. So there is a fee for that. Go to IELTSadvantage.com. At the top, you will see writing correction service. It's really reasonable for the amount of information that we give you. Okay, so kindly can you advise me about the reading section? Is it a benefit to translate each word or not when I read them after taking the test? Okay, so translation is a big no-no, especially if you're wanting one of the higher bands. Translation is like a completely different skill, a completely different thing to actually speaking a language. So translating, say you are from Vietnam, translating from Vietnamese to English takes up different parts of your brain and different processes than it does just speaking English. If you want to be getting like a 7, 8, 9, you have to stop translating. So like in my classes when I used to teach face to face, nobody was allowed to write the translations of even a single word, because it is not going to help you become a high level user of English. So you're going to have to force yourself to stop translating and to start just using English. Anna, hi, why not have some classes every day for 30 minutes? Very good idea. Maybe in the future when I have more time. But I don't just, do this every day. I have a lot of other things to do. And it takes a lot of time to create these lessons, and it takes a lot of energy to do them live and to be focused that much. I'd love to do them every day, but I also do, I do 3 or 4 of these in my VIP group each week. I do about 3 of them in my challenge group, my $9 a month Facebook group, so I'm pretty busy with that. I do 1 a week for free, because I'd feel guilty if I didn't. Mian, I don't understand your question. Yuri, send me an email about that and I will help you out with that. Okay. Christine, I'd have to see the whole sentence, but I think that's correct. Okay. Alright, so thank you very much to everybody who joined us, and hope that that was useful for you. And please put it into action. There's no point in watching this if you don't actually take those steps. I wouldn't tell you that if it didn't work. It has worked for so many students in my VIP group, and getting them organized and doing it in that way. So thank you very much. We don't ask for any money for this or anything like that. All we ask is that you like it or comment. A thank you is always nice to see, or share it with anybody who is doing the IELTS. Hit the share button and share it with your friends doing the IELTS test, or just say thank you in the comments. It's always nice to see. Thank you very much, and I'll see you again next week. And apologies for my voice. I have hay fever, but did the thing anyway despite being sick.